Security! This girl is a shoplifter. Get her out! 16-year-old Maya Richardson stood frozen, clutching $300 in cash and the silk scarf she had intended to buy her mother for her birthday. Her simple jeans and sneakers suddenly looked like a costume in the marble-floored luxury store. "Look at her," the manager continued, his voice cutting through the clamor of the Saturday afternoon. "She doesn't belong here." Maya clutched the money. "I'm trying to buy my mom a birthday present." The manager's laugh was as sharp as broken glass. "Of course." These real-life stories happen every day across America. Black stories like Maya's remind us that the most touching stories often come from the ugliest moments. But this remarkable story, one of the most powerful life stories you'll ever hear, is just beginning. Have you ever been judged by your appearance before someone heard your voice? The manager's name tag read Jessica Whitmore, store manager. She crossed her arms, blocking Maya's path to the register like a human barricade. Her designer blazer and perfectly styled blonde hair screamed authority in this temple of luxury retail. "People like you come in here all the time causing trouble," Jessica announced, her voice deliberately loud enough to turn heads. 3 customers stopped browsing. 2 pulled out phones. Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks but kept her voice steady. "I'd like to purchase this scarf, please." "That money is probably stolen anyway." Jessica's eyes swept Maya from head to toe with practiced disdain. "I'm calling the police before you grab something and run." The timestamp appeared in Maya's mind, a habit from her Stanford pre-law program. 8 minutes to de-escalate. 8 minutes before this became something else entirely. "Ma'am, I understand your concern," Maya said, pulling out her wallet with careful movements. "But I have proper identification and legitimate funds." A customer near the jewelry counter had started live streaming. The notification chime was soft, but Maya caught it. Social media moved fast, faster than police response times. Jessica waved her hand dismissively. "Save it. I've seen this scam before." She turned to address the growing audience of customers. "They send in young ones now. Think we won't suspect anything." Maya's backpack slipped slightly, revealing the corner of a first-class boarding pass from yesterday's flight back to San Francisco, LAX to SFO. Business travelers didn't typically shoplift scarves, but Jessica wasn't looking for logic. "I can pay with my credit card if cash makes you uncomfortable," Maya offered, retrieving a Platinum American Express from her wallet. The metal card caught the boutique's crystal lighting. Jessica scoffed. "Probably stolen, too. You think I was born yesterday?" The live stream viewer count was climbing in the corner of the filming customer's screen. 50 viewers, then 100. The comment section filled with shocked emojis and angry reactions. A elderly black woman near the perfume counter caught Maya's eye and shook her head knowingly. She'd lived this story before, in different stores, different decades. The look on her face said everything. "Stay calm, baby. Don't give them what they want." Maya's phone buzzed with a text from her assistant at Richardson Holdings. "Emergency board meeting moved to 3:30 p.m. Need your notes on the Westfield acquisition." She glanced at her watch. A graduation gift from her mother, understated but expensive. Swiss-made. The kind of detail that would matter later. "I'm going to need you to step away from the merchandise," Jessica commanded, gesturing for Maya to move toward the store's entrance. "And keep your hands where I can see them." 2 more customers had joined the impromptu audience. One was discreetly filming while pretending to examine handbags. Another was typing furiously on her phone, likely sharing the scene across multiple social platforms. Maya set the scarf carefully on the glass counter. "I understand you're doing what you think is right, but you're making a mistake that's going to cost more than you realize." Something in Maya's tone made Jessica pause, not defiance, that she could handle. This was something else. Certainty. The kind that came from knowledge Jessica didn't possess. The security guard approached hesitantly. Marcus had worked retail security for 12 years and had developed instincts about these situations. Something felt off. The girl's posture was too composed, her responses too measured. People who were actually guilty got angry or ran. They didn't discuss consequences in calm, analytical voices. "Maybe we should just let her buy the scarf," Marcus suggested quietly. Jessica whirled on him. "Are you questioning my judgment? I'm the manager here." The live stream had reached 500 viewers. Comments were flooding in faster than anyone could read them. "This is disgusting discrimination. Someone help this girl. I'm sharing this everywhere. This store about to learn." Maya quietly dialed a number on her phone. The call connected immediately. "Richardson Holdings, Executive Office. Hi, this is Maya. I need legal and PR at the Westfield location. Now." Jessica's face shifted from smug confidence to confusion. "Richardson? As in Richardson Holdings?" The voice on Maya's phone was crisp, professional. "Right away, Miss Richardson. Should I notify your mother?" Maya glanced at her watch again. "No need. She's in the acquisition meeting. I'll handle this." The live stream exploded. Viewer count jumped to 2,000 in seconds. The chat became a blur of recognition and shock. "OMG, she's that Richardson. Her mom owns half of downtown. This manager is so fired." Jessica's perfectly applied makeup couldn't hide the color draining from her face. You're Dr. Richardson's daughter?" Maya slipped her phone back into her pocket. "Richardson Holdings owns 60% of this shopping center. We acquired it last quarter during the Westfield expansion. I'm on the youth advisory board." The silk scarf suddenly seemed very small and insignificant on the glass counter between them. Maya's phone buzzed again. This time she smiled at the message. "Mom's meeting ended early. 5 minutes out." She looked directly at Jessica for the first time since entering the store. "Actually, this timing might work perfectly." The assistant manager appeared like a shark sensing blood in the water. Derek Morrison had been watching from the stockroom when he heard his store manager's raised voice. Now he stood beside Jessica, arms crossed, designer ties straightened for the impromptu confrontation. "What's the situation here?" Derek's voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed. Jessica's confidence returned with backup. "Suspected shoplifter. She's claiming to be some Richardson, but look at her." She gestured dismissively at Maya's simple outfit. "Does she look like she belongs in Nordstrom?" Derek studied Maya with calculating eyes. "You're saying you're related to Richardson Holdings?" "I'm Dr. Vanessa Richardson's daughter," Maya replied calmly. "Maya Richardson." "Sure you are." Derek's laugh was harsh. "And I'm Jeff Bezos' son. We need to search your bag before the police arrive." The live stream viewer count had exploded beyond 2,000. Comments streamed past like a digital waterfall of outrage and disbelief. 3 different customers were now filming from various angles, creating a multi-camera documentation of the unfolding drama. Maya stepped back slightly. "I don't consent to a search without legal representation present." "Legal representation?" Jessica scoffed. Listen to her trying to sound important. But Derek's expression had shifted. Maya's language was too precise, too confident. People who threatened legal action usually knew something about the law. Still, he'd come too far to back down now. "Corporate security is en route," Derek announced to the growing audience. "We take theft very seriously here." The elderly black customer near perfumes had moved closer. Her eyes met Maya's briefly, offering silent solidarity. 2 other black shoppers had gravitated toward the scene, their presence adding unspoken weight to the moment. Maya's phone rang. The caller ID showed her Stanford study group. She declined the call, but not before Derek noticed the prestigious university's name on her screen. "Stanford?" Derek's voice held a note of uncertainty. "Pre-law program," Maya confirmed. "We're studying discrimination cases this semester. Fascinating how they develop." Jessica felt the conversation slipping away from her control. The live stream audience was growing exponentially, and the comments weren't favorable. Someone had already identified the store location and was posting corporate contact information. "I don't care if you're studying at Harvard," Jessica snapped. "You're still a thief." "Actually, Maya said quietly. I'm studying at Stanford. Harvard is where my mother did her MBA before founding Richardson Holdings. The security guard, Marcus, approached Derek. Sir, maybe we should reconsider. The crowd is getting larger, and there's a lot of filming happening. Derek waved him off. We follow protocol. No exceptions. But protocol was becoming a luxury Derek couldn't afford. The live stream had reached 5,000 viewers. Someone had created a hashtag, #Nordstrom discrimination. Another viewer had found Dr. Vanessa Richardson's Forbes profile and was sharing it in the comments. Maya checked her messages. Her Stanford roommate had sent a screenshot. Girl, you're trending on Twitter. What's happening? The irony wasn't lost on Maya. She'd planned a simple shopping trip before returning to Palo Alto. Now she was inadvertently conducting a real-time case study in corporate discrimination law. Look, Derek said, attempting a more reasonable tone. If you really are who you say you are, then you'll understand we have to protect our merchandise. Nothing personal. Everything about this is personal, Maya replied. You've made it personal by profiling me based on appearance, age, and race. That's not protocol, that's prejudice. Jessica's face flushed red. How dare you play the race card? I'm not playing anything, Maya said evenly. I'm stating legal facts. Your actions are being documented by multiple witnesses and broadcast to thousands of people. Each word you speak becomes evidence. The police sirens grew louder outside. Through the storefront windows, Maya could see the patrol car pulling into the mall's parking area. 2 officers emerged, their expressions already suggesting they'd rather be anywhere else. Derek straightened his tie again, preparing for the officer's arrival. We'll let the police sort this out. Maya's phone buzzed with another message. This one made her smile slightly. Parking now. Conference room A reserved. Legal team standing by. The officers entered the store, their presence immediately shifting the atmosphere. Officer Rodriguez looked tired, like someone who'd responded to too many calls like this. Officer Chen appeared younger, more alert, scanning the crowd of filming customers with obvious discomfort. Someone called about a theft in progress? Rodriguez asked. Jessica stepped forward eagerly. Yes, officer. This girl was attempting to steal merchandise. We caught her before she could leave the store. Officer Chen noticed the phones pointed in their direction. Ma'am, can you turn off the live stream, please? The customer filming shook her head. This is public space. I have every right to record. Rodriguez sighed. He'd seen this scenario play out on social media too many times. Young person, usually black or Latino, accused of theft by retail employees, situation escalates unnecessarily. Half these calls ended up as viral videos making the department look bad. What's your name, miss? Rodriguez asked Maya gently. Maya Richardson. I came in to buy a gift for my mother's birthday. She gestured toward the silk scarf still sitting on the counter. I was attempting to make a purchase when the manager accused me of shoplifting. She's lying, Jessica insisted. People like her come in here all the time. People like her? Officer Chen interrupted, his voice sharp. He'd grown up in this neighborhood. He knew discrimination when he heard it. Rodriguez studied Maya's demeanor. Calm, articulate, no signs of deception or nervousness that typically accompanied actual theft. He glanced at the expensive watch on her wrist, the quality backpack, the platinum credit card she held ready for payment. Do you have identification? He asked Maya. She produced her Stanford student ID and California driver's license. Both clearly displayed her name, Maya V. Richardson. Derek's face had gone pale. He pulled out his phone and Googled Richardson Holdings CEO. Dr. Vanessa Richardson's photo appeared immediately, a distinguished black woman who bore an unmistakable resemblance to Maya. Officer, Derek stammered, there may have been a misunderstanding. Rodriguez looked at the live stream viewer count over the customer's shoulder. 8,000 people watching. The department's social media manager was probably already fielding angry calls. I think there has been, he agreed. Maya's phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID. Mom. Office. "Excuse me," she said politely to the officers. "I should take this." She answered with speakerphone activated, her voice carrying clearly across the now silent store. "Hi, Maya. I just got out of the Westfield acquisition meeting. I'm 5 minutes from the mall. How did the shopping go?" Maya looked directly at Jessica. "It's been educational, Mom. I'm still at Nordstrom, with some new friends." The silence in the store was absolute. Dr. Vanessa Richardson walked through Nordstrom's entrance like she owned the place, which technically she did. At 45, she commanded attention without demanding it. Her charcoal business suit was perfectly tailored, her natural hair styled in an elegant twist that spoke of confidence earned through decades of breaking barriers. The Hermes briefcase in her hand had seen boardrooms from Silicon Valley to Wall Street. Every conversation in the store stopped. Jessica's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Derek's carefully maintained composure cracked completely. Even the officers straightened unconsciously in the presence of someone who radiated executive authority. Maya smiled genuinely for the first time since entering the store. "Hi, Mom." Dr. Richardson surveyed the scene with the analytical eye of someone accustomed to assessing crisis situations. Multiple cameras pointed at her daughter. 2 police officers standing awkwardly near the counter. Store management looking like they wanted to disappear into the marble floor. "Maya," she said calmly, "would you mind explaining what's happening here?" The live stream viewer count had exploded past 15,000. Comments flooded in at impossible speed. "That's Dr. Vanessa Richardson, CEO of Richardson Holdings. These people are so screwed. She's worth like 500 million. Maya's voice remained steady as she recounted the events. "I came in to buy you a birthday gift. The manager accused me of shoplifting based on my appearance. When I tried to pay, she refused my money and called the police." Dr. Richardson's expression didn't change, but something shifted in her posture. A subtle straightening that suggested controlled fury. "I see," she said quietly. "And how long has this been going on?" "About 25 minutes. Officer Rodriguez cleared his throat. "Ma'am, if you're the young lady's mother, we can resolve this quickly. There's clearly been a misunderstanding." Dr. Richardson turned her attention to the officers. "Officers Rodriguez and Chen, according to your name tags. I appreciate your professionalism, but I'm concerned this isn't a misunderstanding at all." She opened her briefcase and withdrew a tablet. Her fingers moved across the screen with practiced efficiency. "Richardson Holdings acquired a controlling interest in this Westfield property 3 months ago. The purchase price was $47 million. Our portfolio now includes 63 retail properties across 7 states. Derek felt his career prospects evaporating in real time. Dr. Richardson continued, her voice conversational but carrying the weight of absolute authority. "As part of our due diligence, we reviewed customer service records for all tenants. Nordstrom showed concerning patterns of discrimination complaints. 23 filed in the past 18 months. 19 unresolved." She turned to Jessica directly. "Ms. Whitmore, isn't it? According to your personnel file, you've been the subject of 4 separate customer complaints alleging racial profiling. This is the first time it's been documented on live stream." Jessica's face had gone from red to white to an alarming shade of green. I was just following protocol." "Whose protocol?" Dr. Richardson asked. "Show me the company policy that instructs employees to refuse legal tender from customers based on their appearance." Silence. Maya watched her mother work with quiet admiration. This was Dr. Vanessa Richardson in her element, dismantling flawed systems with surgical precision and unshakable facts. "Mom," Maya said, "I should mention that the entire interaction has been live-streamed. Current viewer count is approaching 20,000. Dr. Richardson glanced at the customer still filming. "Thank you for documenting this. Transparency is crucial for accountability." She returned her attention to the store managers. Derek Morrison, Assistant Manager, MBA from USC, 3 years retail management experience. Salary approximately $65,000 annually. Derek nodded numbly, wondering how she knew his salary. Jessica Whitmore, store manager. 7 years with Nordstrom, promoted to management 2 years ago. Compensation package roughly $85,000, including bonuses. Dr. Richardson's research was thorough and devastating. Now let me share some numbers that might interest you. This Nordstrom location generates approximately $3.2 million in annual revenue. Your lease with Richardson Holdings is up for renewal in 60 days. The renewal rate depends largely on tenant performance and community relations. The implications hung in the air like a sword. Officer Chen had been quietly Googling Dr. Richardson during her presentation. His phone screen showed Forbes articles, business profiles, and Richardson Holdings' impressive portfolio. This wasn't just a wealthy parent defending her child. This was a major business leader documenting corporate discrimination in real time. "Ma'am," Rodriguez said carefully, "do you want to file a formal complaint?" Dr. Richardson considered the question. "That depends on how this situation is resolved. Maya, what would constitute appropriate resolution in your opinion?" Maya had been thinking about this question since the moment Jessica first pointed at her. Her Stanford professors would be proud of her analysis. Immediate termination of Ms. Whitmore for violation of corporate anti-discrimination policies. Mandatory bias training for all staff. Implementation of transparent complaint procedures. And a formal corporate apology acknowledging the discriminatory behavior. Derek stepped forward desperately. "Dr. Richardson, surely we can work something out privately. No need to involve corporate—" "Mr. Morrison," Dr. Richardson interrupted. "Corporate is already involved. I am corporate. Richardson Holdings doesn't just own this building. We're investigating acquisition of the entire Nordstrom chain. This incident will factor significantly into our due diligence assessment." The live stream chat exploded with new information as viewers researched the connection. Richardson Holdings looking to buy Nordstrom. This could kill the deal. Stock price about to tank. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from her Stanford study group. "You're literally writing tomorrow's business ethics case study in real time." Dr. Richardson checked her watch, the same Swiss brand as Maya's, but with additional complications that suggested even greater expense. "I have a board call in 30 minutes, she announced. "Richardson Holdings' leadership team is expecting my recommendation on the Nordstrom acquisition. The current situation will obviously influence that recommendation." Jessica finally found her voice. "Please, Dr. Richardson, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I didn't know." "You didn't know what?" Dr. Richardson's tone remained calm, but her words carried steel. "You didn't know my daughter was human? You didn't know she deserved basic respect? Or you didn't know there would be consequences for discrimination?" The question hung unanswered. Dr. Richardson opened her tablet again. "Maya, your Stanford professors would be interested in this case study. Real-time documentation of corporate discrimination, social media amplification, and immediate stakeholder response." She turned to address the filming customer directly. "You've provided valuable documentation of this incident. Would you be willing to provide a statement for our legal team?" The customer nodded eagerly. "Absolutely. This was completely unprofessional." Dr. Richardson's phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID. "Richardson Holdings, Legal Department." "Perfect timing," she said, answering on speaker. "Janet, I need you to prepare documentation for a discrimination incident at our Westfield Nordstrom property, full legal review and corporate response protocol." The voice on the phone was crisp and professional. "Understood, Dr. Richardson. Should I involve PR and media relations?" "Yes." "And prepare talking points for the board call. This incident may impact our Nordstrom acquisition timeline." Derek made one last desperate attempt. "Dr. Richardson, please. We can resolve this internally. No need for legal involvement. Dr." Richardson closed her phone and looked at Derek with something approaching pity. "Mr. Morrison, this became a legal matter the moment your manager chose discrimination over customer service. The documentation is already complete thanks to social media." She gestured toward the live stream, which had now reached 25,000 viewers and was trending on multiple platforms. Maya, she said, turning to her daughter, would you like to complete your purchase? I believe you came here to buy a birthday gift. Maya picked up the silk scarf from the counter where it had been sitting throughout the entire confrontation. Actually, Mom, I think I'd like to shop somewhere that values all their customers. Dr. Richardson smiled proudly. Excellent decision. There's a lovely boutique on the 3rd floor. Black-owned business. Their customer service is exceptional. As they turned to leave, Dr. Richardson addressed the officers one final time. Thank you for your professionalism. Your department will receive commendation letters for handling this appropriately. To Jessica and Derek, she said simply, you'll be hearing from our legal team. The live stream continued as mother and daughter walked out of Nordstrom together, leaving behind a store full of stunned employees and 25,000 viewers who had just witnessed corporate accountability in action. The silk scarf remained on the counter, unpurchased, and suddenly symbolic of much more than a birthday gift. Maya paused at the store entrance and turned back one final time. The cameras were still rolling, the officers still taking notes, and Jessica looked like she might faint. For the record, Maya said clearly, addressing the live stream audience directly, this isn't about money or power, it's about dignity. Every person deserves to shop, work, and exist without being judged by their appearance. Dr. Richardson placed a gentle hand on her daughter's shoulder. Maya's right. Richardson Holdings believes in accountability, not revenge. But we also believe in consequences for discrimination. She addressed the store directly. You have 24 hours to develop a comprehensive response plan. Our legal team will review your proposals and determine next steps. The finality in her voice left no room for negotiation. As they walked through the mall, Dr. Richardson's phone buzzed with notifications. The Richardson Holdings stock price was trending upward, as investors responded positively to the company's decisive stand against discrimination. Social media was already calling it the Nordstrom accountability moment. Maya checked her own phone. Her Stanford classmates were analyzing the legal implications in their group chat. Her professors would definitely want to discuss this in tomorrow's ethics seminar. Mom, Maya said as they approached the black-owned boutique, thank you for not just fixing this quietly. Dr. Richardson smiled. Quiet fixes don't change systems, sweetheart. Sometimes you need 25,000 witnesses to create real accountability. The boutique owner, a young black woman about Maya's age, looked up as they entered. She'd been watching the live stream on her tablet. Are you Maya Richardson? She asked excitedly. Maya nodded, suddenly feeling the weight of unexpected fame. Girl, you just changed everything, the boutique owner said. I've been dealing with discrimination from other stores in this mall for 2 years. You just gave every black business owner here a voice. Dr. Richardson extended her hand. I'm Vanessa Richardson. I'd like to discuss expanding your business into our other properties. And that's how a simple shopping trip for a birthday gift became a catalyst for systemic change across an entire retail empire. Nordstrom's emergency conference room had never hosted a meeting quite like this one. Within 30 minutes of leaving the store floor, Dr. Richardson sat at the head of a polished mahogany table, her tablet displaying real-time data that would determine the fate of careers and corporate policies. Maya sat beside her mother, taking notes on her laptop with the precision of a Stanford pre-law student documenting a landmark case. Across from them, Jessica and Derek fidgeted like defendants awaiting sentencing. Nordstrom's regional manager, Patricia Hoffman, had arrived within 20 minutes of Dr. Richardson's call. Her usually pristine composure showed cracks of genuine panic. The live stream had been shared across LinkedIn, Twitter, and TikTok. Nordstrom's corporate communications team was already fielding media inquiries. Let me establish this current situation, Dr. Richardson began, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to boardrooms where billion-dollar decisions were made. Richardson Holdings owns 63% of this property. We're currently conducting due diligence for a potential acquisition of Nordstrom's retail operations. Today's incident represents a critical inflection point in that process. She tapped her tablet screen. Numbers and charts appeared on the conference room's wall display. This location generates $3.2 million annually. Store 4247 ranks 15th out of 23 locations in customer satisfaction metrics. More concerning, discrimination complaints have increased 47% over 18 months. Patricia's face had gone pale. Dr. Richardson, we take these complaints very seriously. Do you? Maya interrupted, consulting her notes. According to public records, 19 of 23 complaints were marked unsubstantiated without meaningful investigation. Average resolution time, 6 minutes. Does that suggest serious consideration? Patricia realized she was facing not just an angry parent, but a CEO and her legally trained daughter conducting a real-time audit of corporate failures. Dr. Richardson continued her presentation. Richardson Holdings' investment philosophy prioritizes companies with strong ESG metrics. Environmental, social, and governance factors directly correlate with long-term profitability. Today's incident suggests significant governance deficiencies. She turned to Jessica directly. Ms. Whitmore, explain your decision-making process when you encountered my daughter. Jessica's voice shook. I thought she looked suspicious. Define suspicious. She was young and her clothes were casual. Maya looked up from her laptop. I was wearing jeans and sneakers purchased at this exact Nordstrom location. My backpack is Patagonia, retail price $200. My watch is Omega, retail price $4,000. Which element suggested criminal intent? The silence stretched uncomfortably. Dr. Richardson opened another screen on her tablet. Let's examine the financial implications. Richardson Holdings manages pension funds for over 40,000 employees. Our investment decisions impact retirement security for teachers, firefighters, and municipal workers. When we invest in companies, we expect ethical standards that align with our fiduciary responsibilities. She gestured to the wall display where new data appeared. Nordstrom's current market capitalization, $8.7 billion. Richardson Holdings was prepared to invest $1.2 billion in acquisition and expansion. Today's incident raises questions about cultural alignment with our investment criteria. Patricia leaned forward desperately. Dr. Richardson, surely one incident doesn't represent our entire company culture. One documented incident, Maya corrected. With 25,000 witnesses and climbing, the hashtag #Nordstrom discrimination is trending number 3 nationally. Your stock price has dropped 2% in the past hour. Dr. Richardson's phone buzzed. She glanced at the message and shared its contents. Our legal team has completed preliminary analysis. Ms. Whitmore's actions constitute clear violations of federal civil rights statutes. Mr. Morrison's support of those actions creates corporate liability under vicarious responsibility doctrine. Derek finally spoke. What can we do to fix this? Excellent question, Dr. Richardson replied. Maya, would you present your recommendations? Maya opened her laptop fully. Her months at Stanford studying corporate law and social justice had prepared her for exactly this moment. Immediate actions, to be completed within 72 hours. First, termination of Ms. Whitmore for violation of corporate anti-discrimination policies. Second, formal written apology from Nordstrom Corporate acknowledging discriminatory behavior. Third, implementation of bias reporting system accessible via QR codes throughout all stores. She scrolled to her next page. Short-term changes to be completed within 30 days. Mandatory bias training for all customer-facing employees with quarterly refreshers. Partnership with diversity consulting firm for policy review. Establishment of customer advocate position to investigate discrimination complaints independently. Patricia was taking frantic notes. Maya continued. Long-term systemic changes to be completed within 90 days. Diverse hiring initiative requiring 40% BIPOC representation in management positions. Anonymous bias reporting app connected to external monitoring service. Quarterly community listening sessions in partnership with local NOACP chapters. Richardson smiled proudly at her daughter's thorough analysis. Maya's recommendations represent minimum acceptable standards for continued business relationship with Richardson Holdings. She opened a new document on her tablet. Alternative scenario. Nordstrom declines these recommendations. Richardson Holdings withdraws from acquisition negotiations. We share today's documentation with institutional investors, managing $300 billion in assets. Many of those investors have environmental, social, and governance mandates that preclude investment in companies with demonstrated discrimination patterns. The mathematical precision of consequences was devastating. Patricia's phone buzzed with an urgent call from Nordstrom's Seattle headquarters. The CEO was demanding immediate briefing on the Richardson situation. Social media mentions had exploded past 50,000. Cable news networks were picking up the story. "Dr. Richardson," Patricia said carefully, "I'm authorized to accept your terms immediately, but I need assurance that Richardson Holdings will continue considering the acquisition." Dr. Richardson exchanged glances with Maya. "Our investment decisions are based on data, not emotion. Nordstrom's response to this crisis will determine whether your company aligns with our investment criteria." She stood, signaling the meeting's conclusion. "You have 48 hours to present a comprehensive implementation plan. Our legal team will review compliance metrics weekly. Maya will serve as youth advisor during the transition period." Maya closed her laptop. "I'll also be writing my senior thesis on corporate accountability and retail discrimination. This case study will be submitted to Harvard Business Review for publication." Patricia nodded numbly. The implications were staggering. Maya's research would be read by business leaders worldwide, making Nordstrom either a cautionary tale or a transformation success story. Dr. Richardson gathered her materials with the efficiency of someone accustomed to changing corporate cultures through strategic pressure. "Ms. Hoffman, you'll have my executive assistant's contact information within the hour. All progress reports should be submitted through official channels." She turned to Jessica and Derek one final time. "This experience should serve as education for your next career opportunities. Understanding bias isn't just moral imperative, it's business necessity." As they prepared to leave, Maya's phone chimed with a notification. Her Stanford study group had created a shared document analyzing the legal precedents established by today's events. Her constitutional law professor wanted to feature the case in next semester's curriculum. "Mom," Maya said quietly, "do you think this will actually change anything?" Richardson looked at her daughter with deep respect. "Sweetheart, you just demonstrated that accountability isn't about revenge. It's about systems change. 25,000 people watched you handle discrimination with grace and intelligence. That's how culture shifts, one documented interaction at a time." Patricia stood uncertainly. "Dr. Richardson, thank you for giving us the opportunity to make this right." "Don't thank me," Dr. Richardson replied. "Thank Maya. She could have responded with anger or legal threats. Instead, she chose education and transformation. That's the kind of leadership Richardson Holdings invests in." Maya packed her laptop, already thinking about her next classes at Stanford. This incident would definitely feature in her senior thesis on corporate social responsibility. Her professors would be fascinated by the real-time application of theoretical frameworks. As they walked toward the parking garage, Dr. Richardson's phone rang. The caller ID showed Board of Directors, Emergency Session. "They want debriefing on the Nordstrom situation," she explained to Maya. "Your documentation will be crucial for our investment committee's decision." Maya smiled. Just another day changing corporate America, one live stream at a time. The Nordstrom incident had evolved from personal humiliation to corporate case study to potential industry transformation. All because a 16-year-old girl had the courage to document injustice and the support of a mother who understood that real power meant creating systemic change. 30 days later, Maya walked back into the same Nordstrom location. This time, she wasn't shopping for birthday gifts. She was conducting her first official inspection as Richardson Holdings Youth Advisory Board representative. The transformation was immediately visible. QR codes for bias reporting were prominently displayed near every entrance. Digital screens announced the store's new inclusive excellence commitment. Most striking, the staff had changed dramatically. The new store manager was a young Latina woman whose warm smile replaced Jessica's perpetual scowl. Jessica Whitmore had been terminated effective immediately after the board meeting. Her final performance review cited failure to uphold corporate values and creation of legal liability through discriminatory conduct. She'd since found employment at a small boutique outside the city, where her social media infamy had followed her. Derek Morrison faced a different fate. Rather than termination, Nordstrom had offered him a choice: resignation or demotion to sales associate with mandatory bias counseling. He'd chosen the counseling route, becoming an unexpected advocate for diversity training after experiencing his own perspective shift. Maya checked her tablet as she walked through the store. The BiasGuard AI system, developed by a black-owned tech company Richardson Holdings had subsequently invested in, monitored customer interactions through audio analysis and facial recognition. Staff members wore discrete badges that recorded tone, language patterns, and interaction duration. Maya, the new store manager, Carmen Rodriguez, approached with genuine enthusiasm. "How's Stanford treating you?" "Finals week," Maya replied with a smile. "But I wanted to see how implementation was progressing." Carmen's pride was evident. "Customer satisfaction scores have increased 32%. We've processed 12 bias reports through the new system, all resolved within 24 hours, and sales are up 18% since the changes." Maya made notes in her inspection report. The correlation between inclusive practices and business performance was proving her Stanford professor's theories correct. The anonymous reporting app had processed over 200 submissions across all Nordstrom locations. 87% reported positive resolution experiences. The remaining 13% had triggered immediate corporate intervention and additional training requirements. Dr. Richardson's investment committee had approved the Nordstrom acquisition 2 weeks prior. The company's swift implementation of bias reduction measures had impressed institutional investors. Environmental, social, and governance scores had improved enough to attract pension fund investments totaling $400 million. Maya walked past the counter where she'd first attempted to buy her mother's scarf. A young black girl, perhaps 14, was examining jewelry with her grandmother. The sales associate, a black woman in her 20s, was patient and helpful, treating them with the same respect shown to every customer. The contrast wasn't lost on Maya. Systemic change looked like ordinary interactions proceeding without incident. Her phone buzzed with a text from her constitutional law professor. "Harvard Business Review accepted your paper. Publication scheduled for next quarter. Congratulations on groundbreaking research." Maya's senior thesis, Real-Time Corporate Accountability, Social Media as Catalyst for Systemic Change, had analyzed the Nordstrom incident through multiple academic lenses. Her documentation had become a case study in business schools nationwide. Carmen walked Maya to the new Customer Advocacy Center, a small office visible from the main floor. Inside, Marcus, the former security guard, was completing bias sensitivity training to become the store's first customer advocate. His transformation from passive bystander to active ally illustrated the power of systems change. "Marcus volunteered for additional training," Carmen explained. "He said watching your situation made him realize he could be part of the solution." Maya interviewed Marcus for her follow-up research. "What changed your perspective?" "Seeing how calm you stayed when everyone was treating you wrong," Marcus replied. "Made me realize courage isn't about being tough. It's about doing right when it's hard." Maya documented his response in her tablet. These individual transformations were often more meaningful than policy changes. The quarterly community listening session was scheduled for next week. Local NAACP representatives, customer advocates, and Richardson Holdings executives would review progress and identify improvement opportunities. Maya would present findings from her academic research alongside practical recommendations. Dr. Richardson's broader influence was expanding. 6 other retail chains had voluntarily implemented similar bias reduction programs after reviewing Nordstrom's positive financial results. The Richardson Standard was becoming industry terminology for comprehensive anti-discrimination protocols. Maya's final inspection stop was the Black-owned boutique on the 3rd floor. Business had tripled since Dr. Richardson's investment and Richardson Holdings' promotion of diverse vendors. The owner, Keisha, was planning expansion to 3 additional locations. "Your mom changed everything," Keisha said as Maya browsed the latest collection. "Not just for me, but for every Black business owner in retail." Maya selected a silk scarf, finally completing her original shopping mission. This one was designed by a Black artist and manufactured by a woman-owned company. The purchase represented more than personal shopping. It demonstrated how individual choices could support systemic transformation. As she left the store, Maya reflected on her mother's words from 30 days ago. "Quiet fixes don't change systems." The Nordstrom incident had proved that strategic documentation, combined with economic leverage and educational follow-through, could create lasting institutional change. Her Stanford professors had been right about the power of case studies, but they'd underestimated the impact of real-time accountability amplified by social media and backed by financial consequences. Maya's final report to Richardson Holdings documented measurable improvements across all metrics: customer satisfaction, employee retention, sales performance, and community engagement. More importantly, it demonstrated that fighting discrimination wasn't just morally necessary, it was profitable. 6 months after the incident, Maya stood at the podium of Stanford's Business School auditorium. Her presentation on corporate accountability in the digital age had drawn students, professors, and business leaders from across Silicon Valley. The slide behind her showed the viral video's impact: 50 million views across all platforms, coverage in major media outlets, and adoption of bias reduction protocols by over 300 retail companies nationwide. "Real power isn't about money or position," Maya told the audience. "It's about using privilege to lift others up and create lasting change that outlives the initial moment of injustice." Dr. Richardson watched from the front row, her pride evident. Her daughter had transformed a moment of humiliation into a movement for systemic change. The Richardson Holdings Diversity Initiative had become a Harvard Business School case study, required reading in corporate ethics courses. The financial metrics told their own story. Companies implementing the Richardson Standard reported average increases of 28% in customer satisfaction and 15% in employee retention. Bias-related legal settlements had decreased by 60% across participating retailers. Maya's research had expanded beyond retail. Her upcoming internship at the Department of Justice would focus on developing federal guidelines for corporate bias reduction. 3 universities had offered her full scholarships for law school. Harvard, Yale, and Stanford were competing for the student who had demonstrated that academic theory could drive real-world transformation. "We didn't just fight discrimination," Dr. Richardson reflected during her own keynote address to the National Association of Corporate Directors. "We built a system that prevents it. That's how you transform injustice into opportunity." The Nordstrom incident had catalyzed broader conversations about accountability in corporate America. Maya's documentation had provided a roadmap for other young activists facing similar situations. Her Stanford thesis was being translated into Spanish and Mandarin for international distribution. Social media continued amplifying their message. The original hashtag Nordstrom discrimination, had evolved into #accountability matters, used by advocates worldwide to document and challenge institutional bias. Maya's TikTok account, where she shared updates on corporate reform efforts, had gained 2 million followers. But the most meaningful impact remained personal. Letters arrived weekly from young people who had used Maya's strategies to address discrimination in their own communities. A 15-year-old in Atlanta had successfully challenged biased dress codes at her school. College students in Detroit had used similar documentation techniques to reform campus security practices. "Your story matters," Maya said, concluding her Stanford presentation. Whether it's in a store, school, workplace, or any institution that treats people unfairly, document it, share it, and demand better. Individual voices become collective power when we refuse to accept discrimination as normal. Dr. Richardson's influence had expanded internationally. Richardson Holdings now managed $12 billion in assets, with every investment decision incorporating bias assessment criteria. The company's success had proved that ethical business practices weren't just morally necessary, they were financially superior. These real-life stories demonstrate that Black stories can inspire touching stories of transformation across entire industries. Maya and Dr. Richardson's experience proves that life stories, when documented and shared strategically, become catalysts for systemic change that benefits everyone. Have you witnessed discrimination in retail, education, or workplace settings? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story could inspire the next wave of accountability and reform. Subscribe to follow more stories of individuals who refused to accept injustice and created lasting change instead. Share this video with someone who needs to see that strategic activism works. Together, we can make bias unacceptable everywhere, one documented interaction at a time.